Hey everybody, how's it going? Anthony Alfredo here. I figured I'd do a little bit of a post-race Q&A just like I did after Auto Club Speedway here on Twitch. It's also streaming on Twitter on Periscope. So wherever you're tuning in, welcome, and I'm excited to answer your questions today. Got back from Darlington Raceway about probably 9 o'clock or so last night. It wasn't too late because we were able to get the race in the afternoon, fortunately. It was supposed to be at noon, but I think we took the green flag sometime around 4:30 and had a solid day. So most of you kind of know the update, but I'm excited to answer any questions you may have, racing related or not. But obviously, I'm sure plenty of you have questions related to yesterday's race. So I'm excited to answer those for you. And let me know if the volume's good because my mic's kind of like, I don't really want it in the frame, but let me know if I need to raise it up. Nicely, thank you for hosting. One thing I was thinking about doing is putting the chat up on the screen. If you guys would like that, I can do that. That way you can see all the questions. Where can I go? Chat box. Here we go. Add source. Add. Background color. I guess black. Font settings. I'm not going to adjust anything. We'll just throw it in here. Maybe we can get it to go right there. It should work. So if you ask a question, it should go into the chat box now. I think. I hope so. Yeah, there we go. You know what I should do? I might have to move this up a little bit, though. There we go. That's cool. All right. So, first question is, let's see what we got here. You guys like the new start screen and break screen? Those are actually older ones, believe it or not. But that's what I originally had. I'd updated since then, but I figured I'd use them for this stream. I guess the Q&As and stuff. What was the biggest thing that surprised you about the track? So honestly, the biggest surprise was the way the track trended throughout the day. It didn't stick with, I guess, previous years. You know, the notes we've had from years prior. It didn't trend the same way we expected it to. The track got tighter throughout the day. The biggest reason was because in between all the races, there was no rubber laid down. Since the Cup race, it rained and cleaned all the rubber off. So as the rubber got laid down, the track trended a different way than we were used to. It ended up tightening up, and we fought the balance on the car. And excuse me, it wasn't until the very last run that we got the car where we needed it to be all day. Most of it was me getting used to the track, and as I got, it's kind of like Auto Club, right? I got better throughout the day, and the more comfortable I got, and the better I got, the more I realized what exactly I needed to be faster. So it was kind of hard for me because I didn't know if I was struggling that much myself or if I really did, need that much more out of the car. And obviously, the more comfortable I got, the more I realized what I needed. And we finally got it at the end of the day. And what we learned was just the adjustments we had to make were way bigger than we expected originally. So we got the car where we needed at the last run, which was only 10 laps, and we passed a bunch of cars. But if we had that earlier, I think we would have been better off. We weren't too bad the first stage, and then we didn't change anything, and it got worse. So we just need to do a better job of staying on top of the track. But it's a team effort. The guys did a great job, did all they could. It was just things we didn't expect to happen. So we'll do our homework on that sort of thing, and I got to do mine as far as just figuring it out. Obviously, I feel like I did a pretty good job for never seeing the track before and having no practice, never made a lap there until we took the green flag. So, I'll take it. We also had to start 17th because of the draw. So, unfortunately with that, we got a little bit behind the 8 ball to begin with as far as track position goes. So, which is super important there. It's really hard to pass. So, that's how that went. And that was kind of the biggest thing that surprised me was just the way the track trended. Wasn't what I expected or what I had heard. But everyone thought that same thing. How can I get some of that sheet metal in the background? Well, this is my little personal collection. I try to have a piece from everything I've driven before. I actually am missing pieces from a couple different things. Oh, that should be better on the volume. Yeah, I'm missing a few pieces from a couple cars I've driven, but It's not a bad thing to not always have sheet metal, right? Because it means you're not tearing stuff up. Was I nervous when Kyle was running me down? When he got a speeding penalty? No, not at all. I knew he was going to get to me at some point. I was hoping I could follow him through a couple holes, but the 54 car was flying, so it was hard to keep up with him. I wasn't able to stay with him for too long there. That was the run where we were really tight, just fighting the handling, and we got it better after that, though. Why do Cup drivers get to run an Xfinity race? Just because, they're allowed to run X amount of races before the playoffs start, and I don't have a problem with it. I could see from a fan perspective why some people don't like it, but for me, if you're fast enough to run around those guys, you can learn a lot from. I feel like you don't learn that much more from racing people at your same experience level. You learn from racing the guys who are better than you, and ultimately you learn how to beat them, and that's when you become really good at your craft. And that's not just racing, that's all kinds of things. Any kind of weird advantage to not overanalyze it with more time on track. Power learning the race over the race. What do you mean power learning? You mean having to figure it out so quickly? I'm a little bit of an overthinker and stuff, so I think it kind of helped me to have to go out there and do it. So, like I said, I think I did a decent job of that. I wish I could have ran a little bit better. I kind of was hoping we'd have a top 10 finish, but just a combination of no practice and me having no experience there. Heck, it was my second Xfinity Series race ever after 3 months off, so can't be too disappointed in that. And as a team, we did all we could. That's all you can ask for. As long as you might want to go back and have things you want to do differently, or when we get to go back later in the year, we're definitely gonna try some things differently, and I'm gonna do some things differently as well. But as long as you were trying your hardest and did your best, there's nothing you can ask for, because that's how you learn and you get better. You're not gonna be perfect every time, especially in this sport. What series do you like, Xfinity or trucks? I love the Xfinity series. I think the biggest thing is just the low downforce and the high horsepower is what make them really on edge, and the racing really exciting, just like the finish you saw yesterday. Sergeant Klein, thank you for subscribing. I realize I should probably not have this right over my face. Maybe we can go right here with it. How's that work? Yeah, there we go. Jay Delore just subscribed. Nicely's gifted 2 subs. Thank you, Nicely's. So both those people, welcome to the Sauce Mafia, the 2 of you. So let's get back. You like listening to the team and I on the scanner? Yeah, it's awesome. And you guys could. I can't hear it, but you guys can hear when I'm not. When my spotter and crew chief are talking to each other, and I can't hear that. So when they're talking about what I need to be doing better and stuff like that. The coolest part, though, about that is just you guys get a whole new insight to the sport, and it's really cool. NASCAR is allowing free access to the scanners and all that audio. It's unique, and like I said, it provides a new insight into the sport for everyone, and an aspect that you don't always get to appreciate. Obviously, there are some points where I know they were talking to each other about our lack of speed, and by the end of the race, after we had discussed a lot of stuff, we kind of figured it out. I wasn't trying to go slow, but you have to manage your tires at Auto Club, and the problem I had was we were so tight, and when you're tight, that means you can't turn the car very well, right? And you're pushing the front tires, and when that happens, you're wearing the front tires, and you're going to be really slow at the end of the run. So I tried to maintain, not give up any track position or lose any spots, but I knew I couldn't gain, or if I did, I was going to run way too hard, and the tires are going to be really poor, or really badly worn at the end of the run, and I was going to lose all those spots I gained. So I tried to maintain and then just have decent speed at the end of the run, whereas be fast in the beginning and super slow at the end. Whereas if we got the car freed up more, I could have been kind of faster throughout the run as a whole. So that's what explained that, and I need to do a little bit of a better job relaying that information to the team. I tried to do my best, and I think the biggest thing was the changes we were making should have fixed those problems. So I think they might have thought, it was just so odd that I was still, kind of lacking some speed. And by the end, we figured it out, right? The last 10 laps, we were flying, but it was just too late. But that, like I said, that's part of racing. I'm really proud of our Richard Childress Racing team, and our iRacing number 21 Chevy Camaro had the speed to run definitely where we did, but I think we could have ran even better had we had the track position from the start of the race. But nonetheless, I definitely can't be disappointed with staying in the lead lap all day, not wrecking the car, and finishing all the laps. So that's something to be proud of. My second Xfinity Series race, and we'll try to get as fast as Xfinity Internet, and we'll be able to be up front the whole time next time we go back. Being on a part-time basis, are there any challenges staying mentally ready and in a rhythm for when it's your time to race? Honestly, this is gonna, some of you, this might surprise, but this is where iRacing comes into play, because one thing I've learned over quarantine, I've iRaced way more than I ever have. And the mental aspect of iRacing is just like real life. When you're about to win a race, or when you're battling for the lead, the emotions you're going through and the challenge of it is very similar, and it's the best way to practice when you can't actually be doing it in real life for us drivers. That's why iRacing is more than just for fun, it's a legitimate training tool. Is iRacing sponsoring you in any more races this weekend? That's a great question. I sure hope so. There was no one I'd rather represent as we went back racing this week at Darlington Raceway than iRacing, just because of the fact that there's been so many awesome events put on, all these esports events on iRacing, the NASCAR races. I won a Pro Invitational Series Saturday Night Thunder race, and to provide entertainment for the fans during this quarantine time because of the coronavirus, and be able to do that through iRacing has been very cool. It's had a tremendous impact on the sport, and really showed iRacing's true value. So to go back racing and go from sim to reality was very exciting and unique, and it applied perfectly for me because I was going to a track I'd never been to before, so I prepared on iRacing before going there, and going to do a little bit more practicing before the next time, that's for sure. Listening to the scanner was so interesting. Derek is so informative and great coaching, helping you out. Oh yeah, absolutely, Drew. He's a great spotter, and I'm fortunate to have him up on the stand. Did get in it and go help any? You mean like no practice or anything? I mean, I definitely think, obviously practice would have been better. I don't think it helped, but I don't think it hurt me either, to be honest. I was kind of in my groove once we got to racing. I feel like I figured out the track pretty quickly and knew what I needed. I wasn't sure if that makes any sense, because when you drive the car differently, it handles differently. If you're not driving it properly, it's not going to handle the way it should. So sometimes your information could be inaccurate if you're not driving the car the way it needs to be driven, or you're not running the proper line. So in the beginning, I was relaying what I was feeling as far as the handling and the balance of the car, but I wasn't certain if it was the right information, because I didn't really know if I was doing it right or not. But that's where Derek helped me with my line, and once we got through that, I kind of knew where I was at for the next time we go, but obviously for the end of the race where we were able to get the car better. Like riding a bike, I mean, I was comfortable in the race car. Everything was where I wanted it to be. I got to sit in at the shop to make sure my shifter and steering wheel and pedals were all set the way I'd like them. But it's still different when you're going that fast and competing at such high speeds with cars inches apart from each other at a place you'd never been to before. But like I said before, that's where iRacing helped me out tremendously to get prepared, or as prepared as I could be, for the race. Being with the number 21, finishing 14th, your I rating went up. That's awesome. Next stream, tonight, we have the Icebox Pickup Throwdown Finale at Homestead. So I'm looking forward to that one. We almost won the last one, and hopefully we can get some redemption and win this one, and if not the championship. It's the final race of the 5-race series. That will be at 8 p.m. as well. Robinson asks, how many fast resets did you have, and did you use a custom setup? it was a custom setup race. It was not a fixed setup race. No, not everyone had the same setup. And there were no resets. So I think I did a good job remembering that. And I also remembered that you can't drive through other cars on pit road. Hey, Landon. I'm going to try to move the chat box. I'm thinking this is like, hold on, I know what to do. I got to move my mic out of the way because it looks hideous right there. How's that? Can you still hear me well? There should be a volume adjuster on the back. Oops. Excuse my head in the way. Good look at the iRacing hat, though. What does this do? So can you hear me? Oh, no, that's worse. That's quieter. Okay, so this. That should be really loud. Okay, that should be good. Okay. All right, how's that? There we go. That should work well. Now, put the chat box right here. And I think this will work. Chat box. Why does it look like that now? All right. Give me 1 second. Okay. How much did you lean on your RCR teammates heading into Darlington, and what was the best advice you got? That's a great question, Josh. The best, let's see. The best advice I got was, so obviously my Cup Series teammates, Austin Dillon and Tyler Reddick, got to race twice before I got on track. So they had some pretty valuable insight in how the track was going to change throughout the race, and also mainly just how to get around there since I'd never been there to begin with. Things did change as far as how the track changed throughout the race, but I'd say the most valuable thing I got was probably exit of turn 2 is a very challenging portion of the racetrack, and that's where Austin and Tyler both pretty much said the same thing as far as you've got to be really patient through there because it feels really inviting to keep committing to the throttle, but you really have to wait on it and make sure you get through the bumps because it's really rough through there before you fully commit. Otherwise, it's really easy to hit the wall off the exit of turn 2. And some of the other things was just searching for clean air and basically staying out of the rubber, looking for clean racetrack as well. So those are some important things I learned from both of them. Did I touch the wall at all, though? Oh, yeah. I got about 7 Darlington stripes yesterday. What happened with the car popping out of gear? Were you not? No, it's not. So, what's up, Puffman Live? That's Landon. Why is my chat box like, sometimes people's names are super far to the right, and then sometimes they're not at all. I don't know why it's doing that. Okay, maybe here will work well. There we go. That looks better. It seemed like middle corners were the worst for you. Yeah, we were very slow through the center of the corner, and I struggled with, originally I was figuring out the track, and as I got more comfortable, I started carrying more and more speed and figuring out the racetrack, and, at that point I realized that I was really just lacking corner speed. I need the car to rotate a little bit better, so once I was able to figure that out and relay that information to the race team, we got the car a lot better, and that's where I was able to find a lot of speed for the final run. But it was just fighting the track, staying ahead of that, and me never being there before, trying to just really figure out how to get around there and race other people too. We were racing the 19 earlier in the race, and we were way faster, but it's so hard to pass. It's almost as if you can get maybe 2 or 3 spots on a restart, and when you fall in line, that's where you're going to run, unless you run 30 laps or 20 laps at least, and you have, some tire management comes into play, and you're able to pass the person late in the run because you have more grip. And that's exactly what happened with me in the 19. I got to the point where I was able to reel him back in after he passed me earlier, and he gapped me quite a bit. I caught him. and race side by side with him a bunch. It's just so hard to pass, and I finally got side by side with him off of turn 4, went into turn 3 and turn 1 and 2, and we just got stuck side by side, and the exit gets so tight that I had to get out of the gas so I wouldn't hit him. And when that happened, I just lost a ton of speed, and I'd kind of wore my tires out, or all the extra grip I had over him, so I couldn't get past him before the stage ended. Seemed like the middle of the corners were the worst for you. Oh yeah, that's what I just answered. So yeah, popping out of gear. That's a good question. So fortunately, the shifter was popping out of 4th gear, and fortunately, it stayed in gear after that because I ran 3 laps with one hand holding the shifter in 4th gear, and we were gonna have to put a bungee cord on it, but I gently let off, and thankfully it didn't pop back out. So got really lucky there that it started staying in gear after that. Yeah, Drew, I answered it right there because Landon did distract me from it. I guess this could go right over the... I don't love to hold them, trust me. It's not easy to drive around Darlington with one hand. It's one of the most challenging things I've ever had to do in a race car. It actually wasn't as bad as I thought, but it gets sketchy once the tires start wearing and you're driving with one hand. Alright guys, well I actually have my team meeting in 3 minutes here, post-race debrief. But I appreciate everyone tuning in. It was a pleasure to answer your questions, and I'm excited to continue doing these after races. And let me know if you'd like me to do them before, like a pre-race Q&A, kind of my thoughts leading into a race, something like that. Maybe that's something we could do on iRacing, and I could drive around the track and we could talk about some things, kind of like we did this week before Darlington. But I kind of like doing the post-race debrief this way and just communicating with you guys, chatting, and being able to go back and forth, answer your questions personally. But I appreciate everyone's support, and we'll be streaming again tonight. I've got the Icebox Pickup Throwdown race, and we'll probably run an official race after that if it doesn't take too long. But it's the final race, and I expect it to be pretty exciting, and it's at Homestead, so that's another place kind of like Darlington where we're going to have to manage the tires, and if we could do that properly, we'll be able to be up front at the end and hopefully have a shot at the win and maybe even the championship. We'll see the way the points shake out tonight. But I hope you're all doing well. I hope that your family and friends are doing well also. And like I said before, thank you all for the support as always. I want to thank iRacing for coming on board for this week's race at Darlington Raceway. I want to thank NASCAR, the officials, all the healthcare workers, and everyone in the world that have been putting their lives at risk to keep us safe, keep us healthy, and try to find a cure for coronavirus. Everyone who's been raising funding for coronavirus relief as well. And, of course, my race team, Richard Childress Racing, for bringing a solid car and helping me figure out how to race at Darlington Raceway, have a solid weekend that we can build on for our next race. And everyone who helps make this possible for me, including you guys who are supportive of every stream, my social media, and everything else. I hope you all have a great rest of your day, and I'll talk to you later.